We'll talk about tariffs in a little bit, but I want to talk first off about the announcement you made late yesterday regarding expanding production in South Carolina. Give us some perspective in terms of how much greater production will be this year relative to last year.
Well, Phil, you're referring obviously to the expansion of the X3M and the X4M in Spartanburg. You know Spartanburg is our biggest factory. And we are forecasting this year to have a record level in Spartanburg, just above north of 400,000 units, which is going to be exciting.
Close to a record level.
Close to a record level, exactly.
You've got the X3M, X4M that are going to go into production this spring. The X7, which you're standing in front of, that it goes on sale, which is also built in Spartanburg, goes on sale this spring. This speaks to the greater enthusiasm, growing enthusiasm for luxury SUVs in the U.S. Do you see that slowing down at all?
Actually, I think the opposite. If you look at the SUV market in total, SUV market is growing and growing and growing. On the premium side, it's now nearly 60% now. And if you look at behind us, the X7, we're launching it, by the way, this month. The cars are arriving at the dealers. We had 600 dealers here in the last few days. Exciting, very exciting.
But the X7 is going into a segment that is becoming much more competitive, more crowded. Yeah. More people are putting out that large premium SUV. Yeah. Does it make it a little bit tougher? Because there is a limited amount of buyer attitude or ability when you get up north of $70,000.
You are right. It is a segment which is absolutely crowded, but at the same time, we believe that's the first time we're entering it, and it's a beautiful car. The car drives like a BMW, and it feels like a BMW, and we feel we have a good position of getting there. And by the way, the non-premium market is 70% SUVs.
Correct. Let's talk real quick about what's going on with the Commerce Department. You have got their investigation, if you will, into European autos, supposed to be wrapped up perhaps by the end of the weekend. And the question is whether or not the Trump administration then says, you know what, this justifies us either putting tariffs on European-built vehicles brought into the U.S. or adding other costs in terms of emissions and requirements there. How concerned are you about how that might impact your sales?
Let me start by that. Yeah, as mentioned before in Spartanburg, we are committed. We are the biggest exporter of vehicles and revenue from this country. So am I concerned about it? Yes, I am, because it will have an impact. If tariffs goes up, it's not good for the consumer, it's not good for our dealer network, it's not good for the economy in total. So I think personally there will be a wise decision. I'm not a politician, but we will deal with the consequences.
Theoretically, they slap a 20% tariff on imported vehicles from Europe. How much potentially could that slow down sales? 5%, 10%? Have you done any internal metrics on that?
To be fair, yes, we have. In a true German sense, we've analyzed a lot. But I don't want to share any specific number because I don't want to speculate what's going to happen. You know, whatever going to happen, we're going to deal with it. But it's not going to be good if we're going to have 25% tariffs.
I know that you're in charge of BMW North America, but look, you're over in Munich and you're familiar with the global network for BMW. Give us some perspective. With the vehicles you're exporting to China, what's your sense of the Chinese economy right now? Because there's a lot of hand-wringing that it's slowing down, that your SUVs built in Spartanburg may not be as much in demand in the next year or two in China.
I know China is still our biggest export market. And if you look at China per se, the only slowdown we saw so far is when we moved production. For example, the X3 local production, which was decided long before the tariffs, that is a little bit down. Other than that, the exports are still going very well to China.
So you don't see that economy slowing down to the degree that some have raised concerns?
I think personally, I would say I'm not an expert for China and I don't want to comment on China, but what I do see is purely from an American point of view, Spartanburg exports are going very well in China.
One last question. You had the dealers here yesterday. Yeah. What's your outlook for the U.S. economy, for the car buyer in the U.S.?
For the year 2019, 2019 we're forecasting growth. I mean, we have
for BMW.
For BMW, we're forecasting growth. For the market, a slight growth in the markets, overall market. But for BMW, we're forecasting a slight growth as well, or a little bit more. Why? Because we've got so many great products. We've got the new 3 Series coming, the new X7 coming, the full year of the X3, full year of the X5, Z4, 8 Series. I mean, it's just a firework.